Hello, everyone. Welcome to the January 11th SIG Release Bi-Weekly meeting. This is the first one of the new year, so welcome back. I hope everybody had a good end of 2021 and a good beginning to 2022 so far. This meeting is covered by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, so that essentially boils down to please be excellent to one another. This meeting will also be recorded and will be available on YouTube. So if you're uncomfortable with being on camera, feel free to leave your camera off. But if not, feel free to turn it on. And I dropped the agenda into the chat, and go ahead and add yourself as an attendee. If you are new to this meeting, what we typically do is go through a set agenda. We have a couple of time box topics that we always have, get some project updates, and then turn it over to open discussion. But the first thing we like to do is always welcome anybody that's a new attendee. You're free to not introduce yourself, but this is a chance for you to introduce yourselves to the rest of SIG Release. Let us know what you're here for, what you're interested in doing, and just to say hello. So we'll give folks a chance to do that if they'd like to.
Hello, everyone. I'm Omar, and this is my first SIG release to be here. I work in DevOps space, been working with Kubernetes for 3 years, and looking forward to contribute and meet amazing folks. Cheers.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Niveta, junior year student from India, and yeah, I'm this time selected as a CI Signal Shadow. So yeah, be excited to learn from this amazing community.
That's fantastic. Welcome. Anyone else that would like to introduce themselves?
Hello, everyone. My name is Nate Waddington. I think I've been to this meeting once or twice before in the last year, but I figured I might join up as I'm helping with the docs on this release. So I'm leading up the docs team. So hello, everyone.
Welcome back. Happy to have you. Tough job this time around too with that Docker shim deprecation.
Should be a fun one. It's going to be interesting.
Looking for docs there. Anyone else before we move on?
Hi, my name is Hassan. I'm new here and I'm deciding and thinking what to contribute in. And thanks for welcoming.
Great to have you. One more.
Hello, everyone. Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, I'm Purneshwar, and I'm basically from India. I'm a student right now, and I've been a part of the SIG KEP. It's not a SIG, but it's a part of the SIG architecture. It's called the SIG KEP Reading Club, and also been a part of the Contribx channel. And recently, I'm being involved in the SIG network K-Pinch group that is being formed right now. It's a project, and I've also applied for the SIG release for 1.1.24, but unfortunately I wasn't selected. But I'm glad to be a part of this SIG release meeting and know about the whole process in general.
Happy to have you here. Welcome. Feel free to attend any of the release team meetings as well. They're open to everyone else. All right. Anyone else? If not,
hello.
Go ahead.
My name is Daniel. I'm a DevOps engineer. So I'm here to just learn about this release. I use Kubernetes exactly over the project. So to learn more about the open source, contribute my quota to open source.
Welcome. All right. That is a huge crowd of new folks. We're super happy to see you here and welcome all your contributions going forward. Okay, next up, let's jump into some sub-project updates. And if anybody else wants to introduce themselves, feel free to drop your name into the chat and we'll recognize you so you have a chance as well. Okay, so release engineering. Adolfo, do you want to take that one? Or Sasha?
Yeah, I can. So the last issues, the last tasks we did last year we're finally merging the KEPs for signing the artifacts in the Kubernetes releases, and also for trying to achieve SLSA 3 compliance. So the artifact signing is like the framework we're going to be following for signing from container images to documentation to all sorts of binaries, artifacts, whatever. And I think we will be starting the effort. I think Sasha opened a call for participation on the release management channel for everyone who wants to get involved into the signing effort. And we will be updating those projects during the next release engineering meeting. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of the only update as for now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for that update. For anyone that's new, if you're interested in any of those topics, on the off week from this week, so next week, we have a sub-project meeting for the release engineering part of SIG Release. And a lot of those topics are discussed in more depth and more detail there. Same time, just alternating weeks. So feel free to drop into those meetings as well. Any questions for the release engineering sub-project?
I have a small question regarding that.
Go for it.
Yeah, can you just explain like what release engineering does and what kind of things goes on like in the whole release process? What is their role? Just in brief, maybe.
Sure. Adolfo, do you want to tackle that one, or I can do it?
Yeah, of course. So we take care of all the software that powers and releases the Kubernetes artifacts that people downstream consume. So whenever you pull one of the images, use one of your kubectl binary, read even the documentation that goes out as part of our release, like the release notes, those things are produced by some tools that we manage and write and keep maintaining. So some of it has already been running for several years, but we keep improving it. Right now, the focus is on making building more security into the release process. So the main goals for this cycle will be digitally signing the artifacts, and not only the artifacts, but also the information that travels through the release process. So if that is a topic that interests you, I encourage you to join the next release engineering meeting next Tuesday, because we'll be discussing the plans for this cycle.
Thank you. And I just wanted to know what artifacts mean.
Artifacts are basically when you run the release process or any release process, the things that are put out for consumption, either by a next phase in the release or the consumers downstream. So you can think about an artifact of the kubectl binary that you run, or even the container images of the several components of a Kubernetes system, and documentation, and the several technical files that we produce out, like the materials, the attestations about the provenance of those artifacts, that sort of thing.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, anytime.
Those are great questions. Thank you for asking. I think it gives excellent context for everybody else, and I don't know if we do that enough. So thanks for asking that.
Yeah.
All right. So the other sub-project that makes up SIG Release, sub-projects are, kind of encapsulations of certain responsibilities or delegations of the overall charter. So release engineering handles kind of those mechanics and the tools. And the next one is actually the release team. So the second sub-project for SIG Release is the release team. And James is going to talk to us and give us an update on the release team. Exciting times this week.
Yeah, hello. So my name is James. I am the release lead for 124. This is the first week of release. We kicked off on Monday. We so far have, I believe, a full release team of 37 members. including quite a lot of shadows. I think it's four pair area, which is pretty good. We're progressing with onboarding, of course, org membership for those that need it, doing various onboarding tasks. We have our first release team meeting tomorrow for the first part of the release. They are every Wednesday. You can get an invite if you're in the SIG Release mailing list. They are open to everyone if anyone would like to come along. It is at 10 a.m. PT or 6 p.m. UTC tomorrow if you're interested, and we'll be posting in SIG Release kind of ahead of the meeting going on anyway. Yeah, we opened for enhancements on Monday. I haven't looked at what's been opted in so far, but I think there's at least a couple on there. There'll be a bigger update about that tomorrow, I'm sure. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. In the first big deadline is enhancements freeze. Enhancements freeze is on week 4, so in the very start of February, with a production readiness review soft freeze deadline the week before, and from the Thursday the 27th, I want to say, of January. So we have a few weeks of kept collection, and then we'll be going into kind of just the implementation phase ahead of code freeze. So yeah, all looking good so far, I think. Anyone got any questions about the release team?
It's exciting that everybody is all selected and the onboarding's all happening so early on.
Oh yeah, Joseph has done, as our EA, has done an absolutely outstanding job getting everyone onboarded so fast. So thank you so much, Joseph, for getting that done.
Yeah, shout out.
Thanks,
All
Sean.
right.
That was a really fun phase.
It is. It's challenging too, getting through all of the applications. For anyone that applied and wasn't selected, it is tough to select. The small, like James mentioned. That's way less. That includes the leads too, but like it's way less than the total number of applicants that we receive, and it's always a challenge to
yeah, so in previous releases we'd had an informal suggestion that most role leads should take on about 2 new people or so, and that's been replicated here. It's now kind of a formal recommendation. So in reality, there's only about 6 areas and two pairs, only about 11 or 12 spaces actually available, if you see what I mean, to new applicants, so not counting kind of people who have returned. So it's quite challenging.
All right, thanks for that update. Any questions for the release team members that are here before we move on? All right, thanks, James, and good luck to you and the release team this cycle. It's going to be exciting. A lot of challenges for folks this time around. Okay, next let's jump to the open discussion items, and then we can come back to walk through the board since we have a few things on the open discussion. First up, Arnaud, do you want to discuss this one?
Yes. Okay, hi everyone. So the issue I posed is about the migration of a Gcs Bucket, basically create inside Google to the community infrastructure. One of the problem with this bucket is traffic, network traffic, and the traffic is huge. Because the traffic is huge, the cost is important. We plan to do the migration to the community infrastructure, but before we do that, I would like to basically apply for an open source plan for a CDN provider and shield the new bucket with a CDN configuration. So I'm gonna open an issue on, I will open an issue on the steering repo, and I will need +1 from the technical lead and SIG from this group. So the bucket contain all the binaries generated for every release since I think 01 So it's a massive bucket. If we decide to flip the traffic from Google to the community infrastructure, it's gonna be really important, and I'm not sure we have budget for that. So the thing is, I want to basically ask steering to open an application for an open source plan on a specific CDN provider. I don't know which one. We can talk about this later. It's just a heads up about this.
Okay, so this sounds like a more informational thing
Yep.
for us right now.
Yeah.
And when you open the issue with steering, you'll need a +1 from SIG release to.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. And that all makes sense to me. And it'll be interesting to see that traffic come from the Google owned bucket to the community owned bucket. Be an eye opener, I think. Any questions or further discussion on this topic? When do you plan on opening the steering issue for that?
Certainly this week. I don't know yet.
All right, cool. We will be on the lookout for that. All right. If there are any questions for this after the fact, what's a good place to discuss this in the Kate's Infra channel?
Even the release engineering channel.
Release engineering. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for that update, and we'll look forward to seeing that issue open up this week. Next up, we have two items from Leonard. Do you want to talk about these? Go for it.
Hi. So yeah, 2 items from me. So as most of you know, last release cycle, we started working on the new CI Signal report platform and also tool. So the CI Signal report CLI has already merged. And basically the platform is now basically waiting for merging. And we already have an issue open, I think, from November. And yeah, the question is like, who's the owner for the project or for the platform? And yeah, I think it's the platform itself is quite finished. The dashboard, the Grafana dashboard needs to be configured a bit, but before we can merge it and deploy it and so on, we need to clarify who's the owner or who takes ownership. This is basically the first point. So you can see the GitHub issue that I linked and also the diagram overview. Yeah. So the question is like, how do we decide this, or is there like, should I open a Slack thread and discuss this in on Slack, or yeah.
All right. So I think the first question you're looking for an answer for is really like who will be the owner for this. And I think there was a question from Arnaud, because CI Signal is subject to people rotating through. How does that end up being like owned by someone? Is that a fair summary of your comment there, Arnaud?
Yeah. So for this CI Signal CLI, for example, we have the only reviewer ownership for the current CI Signal team, but basically they're not approvers. I'm not sure if this is like a bit different for the platform because it's like infrastructure. So I guess that this would not be suited for rotation. So basically what not commented. So yeah.
So this would involve actually running the platform inside of the cluster, right?
Yeah.
Well, since we are not here in the call, maybe I don't know if do you know if we want to request some infra for running this? Arno, is there a way that we can?
I put a link describing how anyone can basically run a workload inside the Kubernetes infrastructure. So you basically have a dedicated namespace and you run everything you want to run on this separate namespace. My question was more about, it was about ownership, but especially, I don't want to say on call, but which
Who will be on
person we
call?
need to ping if the tooling is broken somehow, because I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be getting for.
Right.
We could definitely assign the CI signal team. I mean, sounds like they would be the ones that could take responsibility. I don't know what others think.
Okay, I can open a thread or discussion on Slack, and then whatever comes out of it, we can discuss it then on the next call or so.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And we can discuss it and then resolve on the next release engineer meeting, which I think this would kind of fall there.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay. And thanks, Eddie, for taking the discussion about Triage Party, which is kind of the same.
Okay, should I move on to the next?
Yep.
Next item. Okay, the next item is regarding the shadow applicants. So I built, you can also see the repository link. I built like a very quick tool, just as a also discussion basically point or something to get started, to analyze the applicants so that we get an overview who applied. So for example, like how many people applied to each team, to each sub team, and so on. Where are they from, time zones and affiliation and stuff like that. Because there was also a discussion a couple of months ago, I think James started that, regarding getting a bit more transparency, who applied, and building a better team. So creating those diagrams, giving a bit more transparency, basically how the current situation looks like, could be like basically a foundation or something to get started on. I don't know, maybe we need to, I don't know, advance, I don't know, something. So just to get a foundation where we can discuss or something. And the question is, like, first of all, is this interesting? Would this be something which we could, I don't know, include into our into the release cycle? So at the start of the release cycle, after we receive the applicants, we create basically the diagrams and show, okay, those are those applicants we received this release cycle. It looks like we are more diverse, this or something like that. I don't know. And yeah, so this is like the first question. Can this be also shared publicly? Because of course we don't want to share any application sensitive information. But if we basically only tell like the very rough numbers that we receive, I don't know, 20 applicants from India and 20 from EU or something, maybe this does not harm the like the privacy of the applicants. So this would be a question. And yeah, so, and maybe there's also some possibility to move on or to like basically advance this tool. So for example, this would be also possible that we use this tool for also building a bit the team, that for example, we select a couple of applicants, and then we get some applicants proposed because we want to have like a diverse team. So we don't want to accept 4 guys from, I don't know, whatever company. We want to spread it out. So maybe this could also help in the selection process. But yeah. Any thoughts?
So I have actually been thinking about this today. So I saw this one initially because I know you privately shared like the outcome of this tool on the data for 124, which is interesting. Yeah. One thing I've been wondering about recently, which I'm a little bit concerned about, is when we do the survey, I'm not sure if we actually ask people for permission to use their data in this way. I don't know how much that is required. I don't know if there's a GDPR implication there. Like, I am not an expert on these things. They did kind of strike me that, like doing some, like, it would be lovely to show analytics, just kind of show this kind of, anonymized data about the applicants, the kind of applicants we get, and use that to drive decisions. And that would be really interesting as a topic of discussion and transparency. But I don't know if we've asked permission to do that. And I'm not sure what the process would be. I mean, like, for future applicants, we could work to draft some language to put on the application process, or some checkbox to say that people are happy with their data being used in this way. But I don't know. What are people's thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a question that we can answer. This is probably something that we would need to get clarification from contributor experience or steering about. I think it's like
we might need to go to the CNCF for this one.
More of a meta question that probably isn't going to be answered by our group. I think that it's interesting to see that kind of data. Like any kind of visualization, I think helps kind of make, especially when there are hundreds of these rows. And like for anybody that hasn't gone through this process, like when we select the applicants, you fill out that form, it goes to a spreadsheet. Basically, there's a Google sheet that has a row for each person that has submitted an entry with a column for every question. So it isn't the easiest way to go through that data. And I think that having something like this that would help with the visualization and help just understanding patterns to the data would be useful. I have the same questions as James, like what of this can we share? Like, obviously we have the data and like we can do this internally, and if it's not shared, we can just use this for ourselves. I do think it would be interesting to kind of report or to make available for folks, I guess, just the general shape of the app. Like we're getting more from release to release, we get more applicants from Europe and India than we do from the US, or we get more applicants from large companies versus small companies, or we're getting a very small number of applicants who identify as something other than a man. It would be interesting to see that kind of thing. I think to know for us might be interesting for folks outside of SIG Release to know, just like for what we're doing. But I don't know if this is something that we can commit to going, to pushing like data out right now. I think it would be interesting to take it to SIG Contrib-X and maybe steering to get their opinion on it before we make any decisions about it.
I was going to say, so I can, so definitely I appreciate everybody's perspective on the privacy, like the usefulness of it. So one thing I didn't get a chance, Leonard, to reply back, because I actually am more like a visual learner myself. And so I didn't discovered within our survey that we could go in and actually grab some similar kind of like reportings, which I didn't know existed in there. So it was kind of good to see what you kind of did there. I would definitely say the formatting of the applicants I think was helpful. I think Nate commented about that kind of would have been helpful for him in selecting, and I think that was kind of good. One thing though, and I was going to put this into the mid-cycle retrospective, was more around like you're kind of hitting around some of the issues that are very challenging, and that is diversity and inclusion, like gender, non-binary, things like that, or they're very upfront and they're very easy. And those are when we have like 5 criteria in regards to how we are selecting shadows. And so for myself, like I really poured over every single applicant. I probably went through that list about 5 times, rereading everybody, trying to glean anything I could about that person so that I could meet the selection criteria and make sure the composition of teams were very representative. And so I don't think we have a really good way to get there, but I think definitely addressing, can we use this data in that certain way? And I feel like, we are also not collecting the right amount of information if we're saying, nationality, ethnicities are important. I don't think we're asking things in the right way. And we think we need to fix those inputs going into the next release cycle. I think there could be some revisions to help improve. And now that I've had that experience, I really kind of feel it. The other thing I was going to mention is from our last cycle, we had concerns about, individuals that have repeatedly applied that just kind of get lost. And going through the last 3 release cycles, I was looking at shadows and I saw a lot of the same names, and I feel for it because I see these individuals really trying. And I definitely feel like previous cycle, we had this discussion, and I think we still have an open issue where James and Xander, we all talked about like, could we have a way to better manage this? And so I kind of feel like maybe this is a broader effort there, and I like this. I just think we should, do a little, instead of like rushing in, we should do some planning so we hit our goals and make sure that we do like nail it with the shadows, that we know who's applying. We know we're grabbing a great selection. And I was really trying to find certain areas, and it was really hard with the spreadsheet. And then when you gave me with that, it was kind of helpful because then I was able to go back and forth and really try to find these individuals that we don't see a lot of representation from. So I would say this may take a little effort if you're persistent. It's not an overnight decision that we could just make, because I think there's a lot that we have to consider. But I think we should definitely try to see if we can improve how we go about taking that data that we get, making sure we got the permission, and then seeing how we can kind of better make it easier. So we wouldn't spend a lot of energy trying to filter through this.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, so what I didn't mention in the first place is that basically the tool is separated into 2 things. So one part is to create the diagrams to get an overview who applied, and the other part is basically get a printout for each team, separate into newcomers and returners, so that you don't have to walk through the entire spreadsheet. You can basically just read the markdown file, and it's highlighted, and you can see basically the applicants like you would probably normally you would read applicants, so like a text form. So this is basically the 2 parts. Yeah, and I think the first part, I can also open up on Contribute X Slack channel another thread to discuss this, and the other part would not be shared anyways. So I don't know if we need to discuss this, but this would be the first step, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good first step.
Yeah, I would like to see the question of, can we publish more publicly anonymized grouped data about applicants, or do we need permission to do that? And if we do need permission, then I think we should add a checkbox for permission to be included in that analysis, or something like that in the future, 125 and forward, because I think that would be a good thing. It's just a question of whether it's legally and morally correct to do so with the current data, and we can't answer that. And I think that's a steering question, is my feeling.
I think that it's cool that you did that, though. I think having that extra ability to go over the data is super useful, without it being like in a spreadsheet, because you could totally do this with like pivot tables and all kinds of bananas things inside of the Google sheet, like we do for the enhancement stuff. And that stuff is not easy to maintain. So good for not doing that.
Like, absolutely, do not get me wrong. I think it's great. This is a path where we are going down. I just get very nervous when it comes to personal information and things. It's something that I get very twitchy about.
I also think, back to Joseph's point, are we asking the right questions for what we're looking for? Because I think we've largely we've taken the same survey from release to release and release. I think we added a question about company affiliation, but other than that, it's been largely the same for a while. And it's probably time to evaluate whether it's asking the right questions so we know if we have the right data or not to begin with. All right.
May I add, it would be really nice to have an examples of what other contributors have done in the past to get them there, right? Because I applied for the release shadow myself, and it was pretty much everything was happening right on the spot dynamic when I'm in the forums, like, oh, you must sign the SLA, like I have to go and do the signing, but I had to read about all the different types of teams, which is a good thing because it gives me a heads up. But the Google Sheet experience is really tough, and it doesn't give anybody the chance to know me, because like, why do you want to join, like, let's say the enhancement team, right? I'm like, okay, I literally just learned about that. So it's not enough time or preparation for anyone to say, why am I actually interested or how I can contribute. So it would be really nice to give like examples and share with the community in a more accessible way, these meetings and stuff like that.
That's a good suggestion. I think we're always looking for ways to make that process better and more inclusive. So thanks. I think that's a good suggestion.
I brought this up at the end of last year because Paris was going around asking people for wild and crazy ideas to get funding for contractors. The big one that I put on that list was to put some thought into maybe changing our KEP tracking spreadsheet. But maybe there's room for all sorts of spreadsheets that we use. So feel free to pass that back on to Paris because she's trying to get money to get contractors to get stuff done like that.
Everyone wants that KEP tracking spreadsheet gone. Everyone.
Yeah, and we can get funding from the CNCF to build a tool. So that's hopefully what Paris is going to do. Let her know that.
There's a GitHub, several GitHub issues about it. Yes, okay.
It's a good suggestion too. Thanks, Eddie. All right. Any other discussion topics around, or any questions or comments around this one before we move on? And we've only got a few minutes left, so we'll just hit the board real quickly and then give folks some time back. Let me share my screen. Okay. So for anyone that hasn't been here before, generally we take a look through this this GitHub project board and look at things that are in progress, in review, and things that have been finished, and then kind of hop into the backlog sort of things. So in review, we've got this review milestone maintainer and rewrite milestone maintainer that's been open for a little while. Let's check it out. Let's see what actions we need to take here. Oh, it got closed. All right, we can reopen it and get that one merged in. I think it was good to go. Okay. In progress, developer guide release. Let's check that one. All right, I was the last to comment on this, so I'll pick this one up and look at it today. This is closed. Did it close because it was stale?
He removed the rotten, but didn't reopen it.
The looks like it removed the rotten because somebody commented on it.
No, he did / remove lifecycle.
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I didn't see it. Yeah,
but it didn't do reopen as well.
Closed, yeah.
Oh,
It's probably fine. It's closed for now. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back and just move that one to done for now. I'll move it later. Release team access. You guys are doing that. That's good. We all are doing that. Changing the release, the Kubernetes default branch name. This one's also open still. I am not signed into GitHub for some reason. It's strange.
Yeah, Carlos is working on that one, and it's going to take
a long time.
Probably years, yeah.
Yeah. Stay in progress for a while. Open SSF, the great MFA distribution project.
Oh yeah, so that one is OpenSSF offered Titan security keys or YubiKeys for people involved in releasing software projects. So I think, I don't know where this came from exactly. So OpenSSF did the thing, and then somewhere upstairs, maybe Steven would have more context about it. The Kubernetes keys are going to go to release managers that do not have a security key currently. So if any release managers later hear this, I don't think we have anyone here.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But yeah, so release managers can get one of those keys if they don't have any at the moment.
All right, that was the last of the items in progress. We're almost out of time, so we'll just wrap it up now. If anybody has any other topics they'd like to discuss, feel free to start a thread in SIG Release or send a message to the mailing list. It's always an option as well. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic evening or afternoon or morning, depending on wherever you are in the world, and have a great week. And I hope the rest of, hope to see you at the next SIG Release meeting.
Happy New Year.
Thanks all.
Have a good day, everyone.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye.